Spencer. Got a great guest here to wrap up a fun Friday. Don Pannell with some riveting radio real estate.
Hey.
How you doing?
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning. I got a little out of sequence with the holidays. So
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
That happens. That happens.
We've been talking over the last couple of weeks as to reasons why you want to have a realtor on your side for both the buying and the selling of your home. It's always tough to do these things by yourself, and one of the main things, and we've talked about this over the years, but is removing yourself emotionally from the property is a big one.
It is that's a tough one. That is a tough one.
You're the birth of your kid or your graduation or prom or whatever. Yeah. They have a higher value in your brain than the bottom line
than
on
they
those
do on
titles
in a physical house. Yeah. That's one of the first things we encourage people to do, is to kind of remove themselves from the house emotionally, and sometimes that's easier said than done. So we've been we started talking about just the availability these days of everything online, and why you wouldn't just use that to sell your own house. And so there are valid reasons why not, and that's kind of what we're talking about now.
Sure.
I have to admit, I use the Zillows and the Redfins and all of those things too. They're fun to look at, but they don't tell you the whole story.
Right.
And so that's why it's important, I think, to have a personal relationship with an actual realtor who can kind of filter out all of the things that you see. I mean, some of the times you see things online that aren't even for sale anymore. I mean, they take them a while sometimes to catch up. And they also don't tell you things like why a house has been on the market for so long, what else is going on in the neighborhood that might affect that house.
Because if you see that on Zillow, been on the market for 180 days, you yourself may go, man, I could probably get a pretty good deal on this. Yeah. Whereas everybody else has asked their realtor, and they go, listen, man, this is butting up against a proposed project of 180 homes or something
or it's underneath a power line or something like that.
Things the pictures may not show.
Right. So the one I was going to start talking about today is that neighborhood knowledge. And so you may see a house down the street that you know is listed for $350,000, but what you don't know is that it actually has sold for $285,000, and it was on the market for 65 days, and it fell out of escrow twice, and you don't see all of those ins and outs, and a realtor. One of the first things I do when I know if somebody is interested in a house, and I know that it's been on the market and then off the market and then back on, is to call the other realtor and say, hey, why? It could be anything from, the buyer's financing failed, or they got cold feet, or something in their life changed. There's a lot of reasons that really have nothing to do with the house.
Will the seller's realtor be straight with you on that?
Most of the time they have been. Yeah. Unless there's a reason why they shouldn't be. I've always found that they've always been, and that's another good reason to have. To be working with a local person is that all of the realtors in Mason County pretty much know each other, and we can talk back and forth, and we kind of know personalities and that kind of thing. So I think it's important to have that network. And that's actually one of the reasons later on is that there is that network. A lot of times folks will hire an out-of-town realtor because their Aunt Martha from Seattle recommends or something like that, and that's fine, but you lose that local knowledge. And I think that's one of the most important things that we can provide is knowledge of neighborhoods, knowledge of communities, knowledge of what's likely to happen in the future that the buyer may not know. And we don't always know either, but at least the chances are better because we have avenues that we can follow that kind of lead us in that direction, so that we can kind of share that with folks. And I have to admit, I'm not. I wish I could say I'm always right, but I'm not. and so the next thing is talking about price guidance. it's a myth, really, that the realtor is the one who sets the price. We're not. We're the ones who give the guidance of what we think the price should be based on our insight and our knowledge and our training. But it's ultimately the seller who sets the price. And again, I wish I could say I'm always right, but there have been cases even recently where I've done a presentation to a client and said, hey, I think based on what I'm seeing, that this is the top price you're going to be able to get for this house. They think they want more. And so that's usually when I say, sorry, but I don't think I'm the realtor for you then, because I really don't think that and in one particular case, I recommended that they go and talk to another realtor, and they found another realtor who would list it for them for the higher price, and son of a gun, the thing is sold for the higher price. So I'm kicking myself.
Sure.
But ultimately, I have to say, again, based on what I know, based on my training, based on my insight, this is what I recommend, and that's really the highest I can go without feeling like I'm wasting their time and mine. And again, sometimes I'm wrong. So, ultimately the seller just has to go with what they want to do, and sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't.
So if they're the ones that do that, then it wouldn't be any necessarily a slight against your acumen on the house. No. It's just more of your own personal feelings on that, or
yeah. And I always, like in this case, the last thing I said to the sellers was, hey, I'm not the realtor for you, but hey, I encourage you to go out and talk to others and find somebody that can work with you.
Huh,
it's and sometimes it comes down to a personality thing too. I
Sure.
mean, there has to be that fit of the two personalities. So, and sometimes I'm that person, sometimes I'm not. So I just have to be realistic about it. And ultimately, I always tell people this, and it's kind of a cliche, but ultimately, a house is worth what somebody's willing to pay for it.
Right.
And sometimes that's way higher than I think it should be. That's fine. We're
running close on time, but before we move on to the next ones, just kind of generally around the area, how are things looking these days?
We're still in a really low inventory situation, even though there more and more things are coming on the market, but they're not lasting very long because there's so many people that are looking. I was just looking before I came over. We had like 30 new listings, but then 32 pending listings. So that kind of balances out. Wow. Things are coming on the market and being sold quickly because so many people have been waiting for something to come on the market. So still a good time to list because there is that sort of backlog of buyers that are looking.
And are we still at the kind of the one story ramblers that are going faster for folks?
Those seem to go faster, but then again, sometimes the multi-levels are going too. It just depends on what folks are looking for. Right now in Shelton, especially the anything under 200,000 is just being snapped up really quick. So that plays a part in it too. What folks are looking for. Some people are looking for them to flip. Some people are looking for them for rentals. It's just a variety of things. But
is Tacoma still a hot market?
Tacoma is becoming the hottest market. Yeah, it's moving down from Seattle. All the people that got priced out of Seattle are moving down to the Tacoma area, and presumably that will keep working its way this way. So Olympia obviously is a lot hotter than Shelton is right now. So, it just depends on what you're looking for.
Dawn Pannell, how do people get in touch with you?
They can call me at 360-490-4493 or come and see me on the corner of 3rd and Railroad. And I'd be happy to talk to you and see what we can find.
We got some nice weather for the next couple of weeks here, so it's a good time to hop in the car with Dawn and ride along and meet with her at different places around the area and see some of these homes.
Yep, there's a lot that are coming on the market, so I'd love to take you out and show it. Or if you have one that you want to sell, I'd love to talk to you about that as well. For
sure. John L. Scotby at the Business Expo next week?
Yes.
Well, we'll see you down there on Railroad then.
Yeah, it's right outside the office.
Can't miss it.
Can't miss it.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, Dawn, thank you. Good to see you. And that pretty much puts a wraps on the show.